Minasan konnichiwa! Hey everyone, I'm Leah with Beyond the Frame, YouTube's #1 resource for everything behind the scenes of your favorite films, TV shows, and anime, and today we are diving into the highly anticipated film, Kimetsu no Yaiba: Infinity Castle. Today's video is all about getting you ready for Infinity Castle. Don't worry, no spoilers. We'll be diving into things you may have missed leading up to the film, why this arc is the one that finally breaks the Hashira, the reason Infinity Castle represents Muzan's greatest fear, and how this film was already in production during the airing of the Entertainment District. So let's get into it. Infinity Castle picks up right after the Hashira training arc, which acted like a military-style boot camp for our demon slayers, because the threat of Muzan igniting a full-blown war has finally arrived. There were several signs leading up to this moment, but the first one I want to start with is the Hashira. Little by little, the anime has been showing us Obanai's deep feelings for Mitsuri, which we saw during his training with Tanjiro. For someone as emotionally stunted as Obanai, especially when you understand his tragic past, it's powerful to see his love for Mitsuri, but it also makes him very vulnerable. Inside Muzan's castle, Obanai's attention isn't just going to be on fighting demons, it'll be split with his desire to protect Mitsuri. And as we've already seen with Mugen Train and the other seasons, Kotoge-san has no problem harming members of the Hashira we've come to love. Then there's Gyome, who, as I mentioned in my Hashira training video, is less of an untouchable monk and more of a commander preparing his team for a potential slaughter. His words leading up to Infinity Castle make it clear that they must give it everything they have for Ubayashiki as well as their fallen comrades. Gyome's training was extremely simple, but that's what made it so effective. It showed that to stand a chance against Muzan, you need more than raw power. You need mind, body, and soul fully aligned. Then, to really kick us in the gut, we see Muichiro, who has finally broken through the hazy mist to realize how important the people around him are. Through his training, we see him opening up to others, going out of his way to prepare them for battle. The Hashira training arc really humanized the Hashira to make us see them as individuals who have hopes, dreams, and heartbreaking fears, further foreshadowing everything to come in Infinity Castle. But if that wasn't enough, the creator, Kotoge-san, also gave us the hostile masterpiece that is Infinity Castle. The studio did a phenomenal job animating this. Like, seriously, it's incredible. The contradicting stairways, sliding rooms, and shifting floors create an infinite stronghold that seems never ending. It also does a fantastic job of incorporating traditional Japanese stage crafting, no and kabuki theater. The elevated platforms, controlled entrances, and exits set the stage for constant tension and drama. But the creator took it one step further and connected it to the Japanese term called ma, a pause or emptiness that helps to build suspense before the coming storm. The floating shots, empty spaces, and long pauses set the tone for the epic battle waiting on the other side of the room. And if you really take a step back, you realize that the Hashira training arc was ma, the one chance to breathe before everything comes crashing down in Infinity Castle. But the name Hashira should have been a dead giveaway. The word Hashira in Japanese translates to pillar, perfectly capturing the top-ranked, powerful, and elite warriors in Demon Slayer. But here's the thing, no matter how strong a pillar is, eventually it will fall. And that's exactly why the Hashira training arc was so vital to Infinity Castle. The training wasn't just about getting stronger, it was about bracing everyone mentally and spiritually for Muzan and his demons. So for those who might have brushed off Season 4 as boring or unnecessary, and trust me, I was guilty of doing that in the beginning, you have to realize that this arc was never a filler season. It truly was the foundation for everything that's about to come. Then, of course, there's Infinity Castle itself. As visually jaw-dropping as it looks, the studio poured a massive amount of money into making this come together. They leaned heavily into 3D camera techniques to show the castle folding in on itself. But this is where things get interesting. The creator, Kotoge-san, designed Infinity Castle as a psychological metaphor for Muzan himself. It's not just a never-ending fortress, it's his mind come to life. The constant movements represent his paranoia, lack of safety, and obsessive need for control, further emphasizing how centuries of fear and manipulation shaped the Demon Slayer world. Muzan's constant need to shift the castle layout shows his complete rejection for permanence, ultimately mirroring his biggest fear, death. But what he might not realize is that the more he tries to extend his existence through these rooms, the more trapped he becomes. The never-ending cycle of infinity poses the question, can you break free, or will you be swallowed by this insanity? And honestly, I freaking love details like this. It's these kind of things that make me appreciate the creator even more. But I'd love to know what you think about this, so make sure to leave a comment for me below. And as always, guys, I really appreciate your comments and positive words. I want to continue making videos like this, so please do like, subscribe, and also join me on Patreon, where I'll be uploading exclusive content you won't find anywhere else. But going back to the video, I think it's important to understand that Infinity Castle isn't framed like most anime showdowns. This film is a full-on war. In most shonen arcs, battles are isolated to one hero, one villain, a tournament-style fight, or clear-cut outcomes, but Infinity Castle pulls away from the formula, pivoting the camera from Tanjiro to better focus on the entire squad as they do whatever it takes to survive. The reason it also feels like a war film is because of Japanese war epics. These films focus on the rise and fall of the characters, with the main themes around impermanence, loss, and morality that is humanity. Because by showing us the vulnerabilities of the Hashira from Season 4, we understand they are not Greek gods stepping into battle. Infinity Castle becomes less about a single hero defeating the evil Fire Lord and more about the collective will of an entire generation fighting for their fallen soldiers with the hope that the future generation can live a better life. But before this video comes to a close, I have to share some interesting facts I learned about Infinity Castle. While the Entertainment District was still airing, the studio staff were already working on Infinity Castle. For 3.5 years, this film was in production before finally releasing in 2025. So thank you, animators, for all your hard work. As part of the Infinity Castle's marketing campaign, a huge Demon Slayer art piece was sketched in a Japanese rice paddy field. The artwork displayed Tanjiro and the Demon Slayer logo. Absolutely insane. I'm Aaliyah with Beyond the Frame, Infinity Castle. Are we in? Are we out? What do we think? Let me know. You guys, I am freaking out about this film and definitely want to hear from you. So once you see it in theaters, please drop a comment for me below and let me know what you thought. Also, if you're like me and love to prep before seeing a new arc or a new season, then check out the video I made about why the Hashira arc was essential to Infinity Castle. This might sound wild to some of you, but trust me, the Hashira arc was way, way deeper than I initially thought. Kotoke-san knew exactly what they were doing. And as many of you already know, I'm an anime nerd with a fascination for trivia. Thanks for watching, and remember to like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Ja, mata ne!